I just picked up this brand new VGC NR7600. This is the update to the NR7500. It offers a few more features. Now, a lot of you have been using the N76HT, which this N76HT is sort of kind of pretty much the same radio as a BTEC UV Pro. Full open KISS TNC, full APRS, lots of extra features in this radio that we have not seen in a radio with this price point for a while. The predecessor to this mobile radio, the N7500, was all controlled by an app, which this one is also, but reading through the manual just now, and reading through, it comes with two manuals. This is the manual, kind of washed out because it's white. And it comes with a whole separate manual for the HT app. This was never included. I did a video about the N7500 on this channel several years ago when it was new. And we did a couple of live streams with it, trying to turn it into a all-star node, which that never worked out. But the HT app at the time of that recording only worked on Android. Now it works on iOS, although it does say it's a limited capability, and there was never a manual or anything with it. You just kind of had to bumble your way through it to learn the app. So that's already an improvement right there in my mind. Let's take a look at this brand new mobile radio. I'm going to tell you about a few really cool features it has. All right, this is the radio itself right here, and it's got this 8-pin connector on the front here, and we're going to look at this. I'm going to show you this in a minute, but it's got a big screen on the microphone, so you can control, I think you can control the whole radio from the microphone. The radio itself doesn't have a screen because it's all app controlled. It's controlled with your Android app or iOS app or whatever. And doing a little bit of research on this radio before I went live here, before I hit record, I should say, I put together this high-level overview of everything. N7600 is a 50-watt VHF, 40-watt UHF, dual-band mobile radio designed for amateur radio use. It features headless design, that's like its predecessor as well, meaning it lacks the traditional front panel, etc., etc., etc. Smartphone app, Bluetooth control. The radio is built for discrete vehicle installation and offers advanced features like APRS, GPS, network connectivity, making it a versatile choice for modern ham radio enthusiasts. So we scroll down here and we look through this a little bit right here. The HT app, available for Android, full-featured, and iOS limited functionality. Okay, good. And then we scroll down right here and it says, built-in GPS. Unlike its predecessor, the VR N7500, this new model, the 7600, includes an integrated GPS module for standalone location tracking and APRS beaconing. Transmits GPS coordinates with transmissions for geolocation tracking and mapping. And then APRS features. It supports APRS for real-time positioning, reporting, and messaging. Okay, good. That's what the HT does. Functions like an iGate for APRS. Functions like an iGate for APRS. So you go on and you read a little bit farther, and what it does, from what I'm reading, we're going to hook this up here in a minute. You download the app on your Android device, which I just did that. I'm going to look at that here in just a second. You go into the app, you connect to the radio, you configure everything on the app, and then it uses your smartphone internet connection to beacon itself to APRS.FI to join the APRS network. So it has GPS location, it has GPS tracker in the radio, so it knows where it is, as long as you turn that on, I guess. It knows where it is, and it transmits that position through your Android app, through the internet, through your 5G connection on your Android phone to APRS.FI, so it acts as its own iGate. That is pretty cool. Reading down through these instructions here, I don't see anything specifically about a KISS TNC connection, although it doesn't use that word. And I didn't find anything in the manual about a KISS TNC. If you're not aware what a KISS TNC is, TNC is a terminal node controller. KISS is keep it stupid simple. And it's basically a way to connect via USB or Bluetooth to a TNC. You take a TNC and you interface it to a radio, maybe through a USB connection, maybe through the two-prong Kenwood connector. There's some old-style TNCs that do that. And then that basically adds the APRS and WinLink and functionality, a lot of functionality to that radio. MobiLinked is a good example of a modern KISS TNC. Also, the DigiRig can act as a TNC. The DigiRig is hardline only, while the MobiLinked has Bluetooth. So you can attach that to a radio and then use apps like WinLink over Android or APRS Droid or something like that to do APRS over a non-APRS radio, or send WinLink over a radio that doesn't have a built-in TNC. Modern radios like the Kenwood D74 and D75 have built-in KISS TNCs that just allow you to connect to the radio via Bluetooth, and it's all done for you. Kind of like a built-in sound card inside of an HF radio. You don't have to have an interface in between your smartphone or computer and the radio if the radio has a built-in KISS TNC. The VR-N76HT that I just showed you a picture of is an example of something with a KISS TNC, as well as the BTEC UV Pro. These have built-in TNCs where you don't need an extra piece of hardware between your computer and or smartphone and the radio in order to enable these extra functionalities with the radio. All right, we're going to connect this up to the power supply here. Got the microphone hooked up here. So you've got a menu. You can go in and edit the channel there. These two buttons here. Main menu is this button here. Return. Channel up, channel down. These are all the pre-programmed channels that came with the radio. There's some glare on the screen of the microphone, but it's nice and backlit, as you can see. You can edit the channel that way. Main menu. Basically control the whole radio from that microphone, which that microphone was not an option on its predecessor, the N7500. It was only controlled from the app on this one. Also, there's this USB port in the front here. It's USB-A. It's not USB-C, and I wasn't really sure what that was, so I consulted the manual. The only thing it really says right there down at the bottom of that page is that it's an output of 5 volts and 2 amps. Right there in that little diagram right there. So it doesn't appear that USB-C port actually does anything. You can plug your phone into it or plug, I don't know, All-Star node. I don't know. Power your All-Star node. That kind of thing. So maybe more to come on that later. Maybe it will have some increased functionality on that later for an extra expansion or something. I don't know. But right now what we're going to do is I've downloaded the HT app on my phone. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to connect to this radio and see what it looks like, what kind of APRS functions and other functions we can set up while using the app on the radio. Now, with this radio set up, if I was going to put it here in the shack, or I was going to add it to my vehicle, which I actually might do that later, I will be feeding it with Mezzi and Plony coax. Mezzi and Plony is the sponsor of today's video. You can save a 10% discount on everything Mezzi and Plony makes with the link in the description below and the coupon code of HR2 cables. HR2 cables get you 10% off of all their coax connectors, adapters, tools, all kinds of good coax stuff. Some of the best coax made in Italy, and I thank them for sponsoring this video. This is the app on my phone. And put these. You guys know I turned 50 last year, right? Which means how old am I this year? Okay. So we've got this right here. This HT app is just it's just called HT. I just went to the Play Store and searched for HT, and that's what it looks like right there. It says HT, and it's got that green and white symbol there. So that's all it is. That's when you install it. So we're going to go pair new device here, and the options are walkie-talkie, PTT, handheld, microphone, or buy now. Walkie-talkie is what it calls a radio. Okay, so we're going to scan this, and hopefully this 7600 will come up. That's the only thing I've got powered up in the shack right now. Now, again, we can consult this HT app operating guide, and there might be a menu we've got to go and download the app. Okay, so what you have to do, and this book doesn't tell you that. This is the HT app operating instructions, but it doesn't tell you that you have to put the radio into pairing mode, which makes sense. It makes sense that the radio needs to go into pairing mode before it'll show up on this app. I get it, but in order to use this book, you have to put the radio in pairing mode, which you can only find instructions for in the main manual, the user manual right there. I know it's washed out. There we go. That's better. This one will tell you how to put the radio in pairing mode. This one does not, but this one should say it because this is how to use the HT app, in my opinion. What we do here is we go into the main menu of the radio by clicking on the menu button on the microphone that I showed you a minute ago. And we're just going to scroll down here. And I know that's washed out. And right here is pairing. We click OK. And then now it's in pairing mode, and now we can see it on the screen here. So I'm going to click on this one. And it says at the bottom of the screen, make sure the device is in pairing mode. Pairing request, pair. Okay, the radio beeped at me. The device firmware needs to be updated. You want to start updating now. Synchronize signaling settings, yes and yes. Okay. So in firmware version 0.8.8, added smart beacon functionality. That's one of the things when I looked up the instructions and downloaded the specs on this radio, it said that smart beaconing was not available. Well, apparently that's been added now. APRS position sharing can be configured using the Mic E format to shorten the channel occupancy time. Added device GPS location sharing when the phone does not support GPS or has it disabled. So the device itself will share the GPS. Reduce volume bar display time to 1 second. Fix the issue of interrupting network channel reception for location sharing. Okay, good. So we're going to update that firmware now, which is easy. I remember this being easy on the last radio too. You basically, it prompted you, you click yes, and then you just kind of let it go. So we're going to sit here for a second while this goes. Okay, that took about 10 minutes, a little bit longer than I thought it was going to, but it's prompting me right now saying the data transfer is complete. You want to continue to upgrade. Device will reboot. Okay. It's talking about the device rebooting is talking about the radio, not the phone. So right now the radio is rebooting. On the microphone, it's talking about a reboot, and you can see the LEDs on the radio itself are off. So it says on the microphone, updating firmware, please do not turn off the power. Let that go for a minute and see how long it takes. Okay, there we go. Update is complete. That only took about a minute or two, maybe a minute and a half, less than 2 minutes. And there we go right there. Okay, so this is what the app looks like after it's connected to the radio. And we've got options there down the side for APRS, audio connection, MDC monitor, join the network channel. Join an existing channel, create a new channel. Here's some network channels. Those are all in Chinese. Not sure what those are. Maybe there's a way to talk to this radio. If I have this radio connected to my app on my phone, and you have one connected to your app on your phone, perhaps we can connect to one another and talk over the internet through the radio to the internet. Kind of set up its own private talk group. Maybe. I don't know. Join a network channel, create a new channel. Title, passcode, bitrate, radio configuration, frequency, okay, FM or AM. I might have to experiment. I'm not going to do that now, but I may have to experiment with that in the future. Let me know in the comment section if any of you are planning to get this radio. Maybe we can get together on a Zoom call and try out this network channel thing. That might be kind of fun. I'm going to guess TO is probably going to end up with one of these radios, so I might be with TO about that. But more than anything, I want to know, okay, so we can rename the radio itself. I could turn that off and on. I don't currently have, because of some roof work I'm having done, I don't currently have my VHF, UHF antenna up right now, so I'm not going to be able to try to hit a local repeater with this or anything. Okay, I had to look in the manual, but here's what you do. So we've got our channels. At the top left corner, there's that hamburger menu. At the top left corner right there, you click on that and you get to your channel section. You can edit your channels just like we just did there. If you click on the 3 dots at the top right corner, you've got several options there. Disconnect, voice connection, team, whatnot. Device settings and settings. I was going to device settings, and that is this menu right here, and it's just basically squelch level, speaker, wired microphone speaker. You can turn it off and on, firmware version, etc., etc. Okay, but if we go into settings, not device settings, but settings, from that menu, now we have APRS settings, and this is what I wanted to look like, what I wanted to look at. So if we click on APRS settings, right there, the first thing it asks you is call sign and password. This is to get into the APRS. It's the same call sign and password you would set if you set up APRS Droid. So I'm going to set KC5HWB, and I'm gonna say dash. Generally, a mobile station is -9. I don't like to use the same signifier, the same SSID on multiple radios unless I'm using those radios at 2 totally independent times. So right now, my truck, which is the radio in my truck, is my Yaesu FTM500. It's not currently powered on, but it is set to KC5HWB-9, and it beacons that every time I'm on a road trip. So I want that one to always be my truck radio. So I'm going to set this one to 10. KC5HWB-10. I'm going to get a passcode. All right, get APRS password. You can use an APRS IS password that has been registered with other APRS applications. So when you register with the APRS IS, you were given a password. It should be an email somewhere. That's the password that you're going to want to put in here. Here is, okay, I went back into my own email and found my own passcode, which is a 5-digit number. And if I click on verify passcode, it says the passcode is correct. So there we go. iGate service was automatically toggled on. I did not toggle that on. So you can toggle that off and on. I'm going to change my server to North America, of course, and say radio to internet and internet to radio. So you can go both ways. You can turn on one-way direction, or you can turn on duplex direction for messaging. And then you can do receive messages from the internet. I'm going to turn everything on. Share location via iGate. Send power voltage, send operating frequency. No, I don't want to do that. Share location via iGate. Location source system. Select coordinates. Okay, so if I wanted to share, so I don't see a setting in here for ambiguity, which is usually like 1 or 2 digits off. You can set ambiguity in a lot of radios so that it reports your position a few miles away or on the next town over or something, depending on how you set it. I don't see that, but what I can do is I can set location source here for select coordinates and just set it to, if I wanted to set it to somewhere across town or set it to my mailbox address or something like that, I could do that. Okay. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's how you do it. Okay. We can go interval 5 minutes, and I don't see a setting in here for smart beaconing. Now, it's not going to really do anything. I guess I could turn this on because it's not going to do anything because I'm connected. I got the radio connected to a dummy load right now. I said a minute ago I didn't have an antenna hooked up, and I don't, but I do have a dummy load hooked up. So I don't know. I'm not going to click on that anyway. So I'm going to save that. Really customizable in there. So that's where we are on that. Let's see. This is the APRS map. Now that I've got my settings set up there. This is what it's seeing on the map currently, now that it's connected to the internet through my smartphone. It's not beaconing APRS over RF. Not right now, anyway. You can set it to do that. But you can also set it to use the 5G connection on your phone to share your position, which makes it an iGate. So this is kind of a unique iGate. Most iGates will receive an RF signal. If you've got an APRS radio in your car and you're beaconing a signal, a location report on 144.390, an iGate will be a radio on top of a tower or a building or something, and it will receive your beacon, and it will transmit that information, whatever you share via the beacon, you can set it up in the radio, to the internet, and it will show up on the website at aprs.fi. This is doing the same thing, but kind of in a different manner. This is not transmitting RF, at least it's not right now because it's in a dummy load. But you can see I am on this map right here. If you look on this map right there, you can see there's my call sign right there is my call sign right there in Grapevine, right on the top of the Grapevine dot, which is where it should be, up there on the north end of Grapevine. So it is sharing my location via the GPS radio in the GPS radio inside of this mobile radio, and via the settings that I just set right here. So this is going to be a neat thing to play with. I'm interested to see if anyone wants to set up and do a network connection and see if we can talk to one another over the network. And I'm interested to see if they eventually have a KISS TNC for this, although you might not need it because with the KISS TNC on the HT, you can connect other apps besides just APRS to it. So you could connect WinLink to it. You can connect, I can't think of anything else right now, but WinLink and APRS, are two totally separate apps, and you can connect it and tell the radio to do whatever, and connect to a WinLink gateway or an APRS node or something like that. So this one, with all the steps we just went through just now, this is limited to APRS, but it's totally open, fully function APRS. So this is really cool. I want to send some messages over the internet, see what kind of feedback we can get and that kind of thing. So how many of you are actually interested in this radio? I would like to see in the comments below how many are interested in this radio, what you think about this radio, what are some really cool things you want to try with this radio. Where would you put this? Would you put this in your shack? Or would you put this in your vehicle? Or would you put it in some kind of go kit that you would take to trips like to Hamfests and whatnot, or to campouts or something like that? Put a comment in the description below. Thanks for watching today. Check out the links to the radio in the description below. 73.